G'day guys, what's cracking? Ralph here, and tonight's challenge is light trails. We are in the city of Hobart, which I flew into a few days ago now, and when we hit the ground, jumped in the rental and drove into Hobart, I was on the lookout right from the get-go about potential photo opportunities, and there's been a ton, and I've been doing a heap of vlogging, but there was one that I saw first that I went, oh, that's going to be just glorious. And we're here right now. You see, as you come out of the airport and you loop round on what's called the Tasman Highway, and the Tasman Highway goes over the Tasman Bridge. Tasman Bridge, you guessed it, goes over the Tasman River. Yeah, it's all very original. And you pop out the other side into Hobart. And so there was a pedestrian bridge that's very similar to this one. But as we drove under it, I went, oh, that might just be an incredible spot to do some light trails across the bridge and into Hobart. So I'm checking it out now with my gear, and my hope is that we're going to take some great photos tonight. And it's looking fairly positive. Have a look at this. So here's the road, snakes round like this. And across the bridge that's just there, which I'll get a better angle from in just a moment, because there's the bridge that I'm going to shoot from. But then in the background over here, that's Hobart. So far so good. Let's go up and have a look. So you can't really vlog from an overpass because people think you're going to jump off that overpass and they'll call the police on you. I've just moved down here because when people stand on an overpass and turn a light on, the general public thinks they're going to throw themselves off a bridge. And so then I went to this point up here, and then this helicopter comes overhead, which was a police helicopter. And when it's circled, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not going well. I don't want to be the photographer that got mistaken for a jumper and hits the Hobart News. No, thank you. So let's talk about this shot. So I positioned myself at a couple of different spots on the bridge. They gave me 3 different compositions, and you can let me know at the end which one you think is the best. You want to use those light trails that are created to lead you into the photo. Now, to get those light trails, you need a couple of things. You absolutely need a tripod. You cannot do it without a tripod. Absolutely need a tripod, and the one I use is down, link in the description below. Now, the other thing you need is a camera that shoots long exposure, but even phones do that these days. So you can use a phone and you're good to go, so you don't need to stress or worry about that. Then you need to position yourself in a place where you can see the light. Now that means not coming out too late. So it's only about 8 o'clock for me right now, and if you go out too late, the cars stop being on the road because people have gone to bed, and when that happens, oh, I've reached my step goal. When that happens, there's less cars to shoot, so there's light trails. Also remember that the headlights coming towards you are far brighter than the brake lights going away from you, but you use those lights as leading lines into a photo to actually fill the frame. So the more you can fill the frame, the better, which means when I shot this, I needed to tilt down. So I tilted down, and then I set my exposure to be enough that it was still dark. Now you'll notice that when I first started, this is the first one, it was overexposed, so I backed it off, but it's this sickly yellow color. And so to move to this next shot where it's not a sickly yellow color, I put this on. This is a natural light filter from Nissi, and it actually takes all the yellow and the light pollution out of a shot. So it's amazing for astro. I haven't pulled it out in a long time, but they're amazing for astro, amazing for night photography, and it's going to become another part of my essential kit because I seem to be doing more and more night shoots that I just love doing, right? It's just a lot of fun. So I put my exposure, I started at I think 120, I backed it down to 90, sometimes 60 I think. I moved my aperture up to as tight and small as it'll go. So on this, the maximum aperture is at f-stop of 16, so I shoot at f-stop of 14, which means most is in focus, means there's less light hitting the sensor, so I can open up the shutter speed more, and also means that I get some light burst action out of the street lamp ramps and those sort of things, rather than this sort of muddy like example that we have just here. And then my ISO, I take my ISO right down as low as I go, because I want as least light as possible hitting that sensor, other than what I determine through the shutter speed. In terms of focus point, I just aim straight at the bridge. I put the bridge in the middle of my shot. I focused on that and I was good to go. There's so much light that you can just use autofocus. I found that wasn't a stress at all, and I slightly pointed the camera down, or rather here I point it down to get more in the shot. You see, if I have it like this, it's just my head, but if I have it like this, it looks more interesting. The frame fills it up, especially at nights when you have a lot of black sky. It's just dead sky. So what you want to do is fill it up. So point it slightly down, keep it in the same spot, take 3 or 4 photos from the same spot. You can choose different exposures, but I would recommend you just stick with the same settings, and that way afterwards you can then layer them in Photoshop. And if you want me to do a video about how I do that, just let me know below and I'll put that together for you. But it's quite easy to do, and it means you get more light trails for your money, as opposed to trying to make the shutter speed last longer, which sometimes just isn't possible. We're going to go to a second and final location that I'm pretty keen to try out, so come with me. I was just about to pack up, and then I spied through the gap. You can see the bridge? And so I thought, I'll put on my 70 to 200, zoom it into 200, bang off a couple of shots at a 30-second exposure, because it's very bright on the bridge. This is what I've got, and now let's go. Alright, so where I am now is called the Bridge of Remembrance, and over my shoulder is a fire and a statue about how we've gone to war. So I feel kind of privileged to be on this particular piece of territory. And what I thought as I drove under this bridge is we're going to have an epic view of the city. What I didn't realise is I can't shit over there because there's a road that goes underneath, and then I thought, it's alright, I've got an extendable on my tripod, and there's nothing I can do to make it high enough. Then I thought I could vlog on my phone and put my vlogging camera up there and use it as the long exposure, and I've taken a few of them, and this is what it looks like. So pretty cool, right? Using the same principles we were talking before on a much simpler and basic camera. It's a 30-second exposure, but it still does the job. But what I want to do is see if I can perch my Z9 on top there. So that's a Ulanzi Octo tripod that I use for vlogging all the time. It bends, it sticks on stuff. It's so handy. When I put my camera down, I can just spread the legs and just put it on the ground. But it's not designed to carry Z9 at all. I think its maximum weight is 2 kilos. But what's the worst that could happen? I drop my Z9 onto a car. That's about it, right? So let's give it a go. Oh my gosh, can you see it? So I'm just shooting, and then it's wobbling, and I'm holding it, and I'm praying a little, and I'm waiting 30 seconds. And I've done this once already, and no cars came past. Oh my goodness gracious me. What a work of art. Just gonna keep pressing this. Just gonna keep taking long exposures. I'm gonna put this down and security hold my camera, and then we'll be done. Oh, my heart rate can resume where it was. This trip to Hobart has been very stressful for a whole bunch of unforeseen, fantastic circumstances. What will be fascinating is if there's any shake, because there's a little bit of wind. There was a weather warning tonight. There's going to be severe wind. There's kind of shake on the bridge, a movement on the bridge, and there's that's all that's holding on to my whole camera. and then look, when I touch it, it shakes. Oh my gosh. And then it steadies, and then it shoots. Holy my doolies. All right, I gotta focus on this. I'll talk to you in a sec. Wow. Did it. I don't even know if the shot's worth it. In a moment, I'll show you the shot. You can tell me if it's worth it. And I just want to show you what's possible. And sometimes you got to improvise, be really smart and really careful. Not that I'm either of those things, but don't wreck your gear or break your gear or drop your gear into the road. That is not a good call at all. Whew, so these Ulanzi Octo tripods, there's a couple of them in the range. They are the duck's nuts, and I can highly recommend them to you if you're doing anything outdoors where you need just an easy. I put time lapses on this, I vlog on this, I stick my Z9 on it and do light trails now, and there'll be links to everything in the description below. And if you would like to hang out more with me, I would love that. So please like, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.